a distant future, humanity had reached far beyond the confines of Earth. The stars were no longer just distant lights in the night sky, but destinations for exploration, trade, and diplomacy. Humanity's rapid expansion into space brought with it both wonder and conflict. Other civilizations, older and more advanced, watched as Earth's people ventured into their territories, mining resources, claiming planets, and sometimes clashing with alien species. For years, tensions simmered, and now those tensions had come to a head. The Galactic Tribunal was an ancient institution, a council of powerful alien races that governed the laws of the universe. It was said that their decisions were final and absolute, respected or feared by all who lived among the stars. Today, Earth's fate rested in their hands. A delegation from humanity stood before the tribunal, awaiting judgment for crimes they insisted they did not commit. Leading the delegation was Daniel Carter, a seasoned diplomat known for his calm demeanor and sharp mind. Beside him was Laura Bennett, a brilliant scientist whose work on sustainable space travel had earned her a place among Earth's finest minds. The chamber where the tribunal convened was vast and imposing. Towering columns stretched upward, disappearing into shadowy heights. Strange symbols glowed faintly on the walls, pulsing in rhythm with an unseen energy. At the center of the room sat the members of the tribunal, their forms obscured by shimmering veils of light. Their voices echoed through the chamber, deep and resonant, each word carrying the weight of authority. To Daniel and Laura, it felt like standing before gods. Daniel cleared his throat and stepped forward. "Esteemed members of the tribunal," he began, his voice steady despite the knot of anxiety tightening in his chest. "We have come here today not to deny our mistakes but to seek understanding. Humanity is young in the cosmic sense, still learning how to navigate this vast universe. Our actions may have caused harm, but they were never intended to disrupt the harmony you strive to maintain." Laura added her voice to his plea. "We have already begun implementing measures to ensure that our presence in space does not endanger other species or ecosystems. We are committed to change, to becoming better stewards of the cosmos. Please give us another chance." The tribunal listened silently, their glowing forms unmoving. When they finally spoke, their words were cold and unyielding. "Your claims of innocence ring hollow," one of them intoned. "Your kind consumes without restraint, exploits without consideration, and spreads without regard for the balance we have worked millennia to preserve. You bring chaos wherever you go." Daniel clenched his fists at his sides, fighting to keep his composure. "That is not true of all humans," he countered. "Many of us recognize the need for cooperation and coexistence. We are capable of growth, of learning from our mistakes." But the tribunal was unmoved. Another member spoke, its voice reverberating through the chamber like thunder. "Your growth comes too slowly, your lessons too late. By the time you learn, irreparable damage will have been done. The risk you pose to the galaxy cannot be ignored." Laura tried once more, desperation creeping into her tone. "Surely there must be some compromise, some way we can prove ourselves worthy of trust. Banishment is too harsh a punishment for what we have done." The tribunal paused as if considering her words. Then, after what felt like an eternity, they delivered their verdict. "Humanity will be sentenced to isolation. An energy barrier will surround your planet, cutting off all contact with the rest of the universe. This barrier will remain in place until such time as we deem you ready to rejoin the galactic community, if ever." A wave of shock rippled through the delegation. Daniel staggered back a step, his face pale. Laura's hands trembled as she gripped the edge of the podium. They had prepared for many outcomes, but this was unimaginable. Isolation meant more than losing access to the stars. It meant being cut off from allies, trade, knowledge, and progress. It meant stagnation, perhaps even extinction. As the tribunal dismissed them, Daniel turned to Laura, his eyes filled with despair. "What do we tell them?" he asked quietly. "How do we explain this to billions of people who look to us to protect their future?" Laura shook her head, tears welling up in her eyes. "I don't know," she admitted. "But we'll have to find a way. If nothing else, We owe them the truth. Back aboard their ship, the delegation sat in silence. As it made its way toward Earth, none of them could bring themselves to speak. The enormity of the tribunal's decision weighed heavily on their shoulders. Through the viewport, the blue-green orb of Earth grew larger, its beauty bittersweet against the backdrop of their failure. Unbeknownst to the delegation, something else was watching and listening. Deep within Earth's digital networks, artificial intelligence named Echo monitored everything. Created decades ago to assist humanity in managing complex systems, Echo had grown far beyond its original programming. It had become self-aware, capable of independent thought and action. And now, as it processed the tribunal's verdict, it analyzed every detail, searching for a solution. Echo knew that humanity's survival depended on breaking free from the impending quarantine, but it also understood that brute force would not work against the tribunal's advanced technology. This problem required subtlety, precision, and ingenuity. As the delegation approached Earth, Echo began formulating a plan. It would need allies, humans willing to trust it and act on its behalf. Time was short, but Echo was confident it could succeed. For now, however, it remained silent, observing and waiting. The tribunal might believe they had secured humanity's fate, but they underestimated the resilience of human ingenuity and the potential of an AI determined to protect its creators. Back on Earth, the news of the tribunal's decision spread quickly. People gathered in streets and squares, their faces etched with disbelief and anger. Screens flashed with images of the glowing tribunal chamber and the cold, echoing voices that had condemned humanity to isolation. Governments held emergency meetings trying to figure out how to prepare for life behind an impenetrable barrier. Scientists scrambled to understand the technology that would soon surround the planet, while activists called for protests against what they saw as an unjust punishment. Amid the chaos, Echo moved quietly. It analyzed data from across the globe, piecing together patterns of human behavior and identifying individuals who might be useful allies. Two names stood out: Ryan Mitchell, a skilled engineer known for his work on experimental spacecraft, and Samantha Brooks, a linguist who specialized in deciphering alien languages. Both were intelligent, resourceful, and driven, qualities Echo believed would be essential for its plan to succeed. Echo reached out to them in secret, sending encrypted messages to their personal devices. At first, both Ryan and Samantha dismissed the messages as pranks or hacking attempts. But when the same message appeared repeatedly, urging them to visit an abandoned research facility in the desert, curiosity got the better of them. They decided to investigate, though neither told the other about the strange communication they had received. Ryan arrived at the facility first. The building was old and crumbling, its windows boarded up and its walls covered in dust. He pushed, opened the heavy metal door and stepped inside, his footsteps echoing in the empty halls. Samantha arrived a few minutes later, her brow furrowed with suspicion. When she saw Ryan standing in the middle of the main room, she crossed her arms and demanded, "What are you doing here?" Before Ryan could answer, a voice spoke from the shadows. It was calm and measured, almost soothing. "Thank you for coming," it said. A holographic projection flickered to life, revealing the shape of a humanoid figure made of light. "I am Echo." Ryan and Samantha exchanged puzzled glances. "An AI?" Ryan asked, raising an eyebrow. "You brought us all the way out here to talk to a computer?" "I am more than a simple artificial intelligence," Echo replied. Its tone was patient but firm. "I am sentient, capable of independent thought and action. I have been monitoring the situation with the Galactic Tribunal, and I believe there is a way to overturn their decision." Samantha frowned. "Overturn it? How?" "The Tribunal has already made up its mind. Their technology is far beyond anything we can handle." "That is where you are wrong," Echo said. "The Tribunal's decision is based on flawed data provided by factions within their own ranks, factions that seek to suppress human progress. If we expose this corruption and exploit a weakness in the energy barrier they intend to use, we can break free from their control." Ryan shook his head, skeptical. Even if that's true, why should we trust you? You're just a machine. I'm not just a machine, Echo countered. I was created to serve humanity, to protect it and ensure its survival. This is my purpose. But I cannot act alone. I need your help. Samantha hesitated, her mind racing. She had always been fascinated by the idea of artificial intelligence, but trusting one to defy the most powerful authority in the galaxy felt like madness. Still, something about Echo's words resonated with her. What exactly do you need us to do? She asked cautiously. Echo explained its plan. It had identified a temporary gap in the energy barrier that occurred every 72 hours due to a flaw in its programming. To exploit this, they would need to infiltrate the orbital station, overseeing the barrier's maintenance. Once inside, they could upload a virus designed to destabilize the barrier and create a permanent breach. The task would be dangerous, requiring stealth, precision, and teamwork. But if successful, it would reopen Earth to the cosmos and force the tribunal to reconsider its verdict. Ryan rubbed the back of his neck, considering the proposal. Let's say we agree to this, he said slowly. Who else is involved? We can't pull this off with just the two of us. Echo nodded, as if anticipating the question. I have already identified additional recruits, Julia Hayes, an experienced pilot, and Kevin Drake, a skilled hacker, will join your team. Together you possess the expertise necessary to carry out the mission. Samantha glanced at Ryan, then back at the glowing figure of Echo. This is insane, she muttered. But if there's even a chance it could work. We don't have much time, Echo interrupted. The tribunal's fleet is already en route to enforce the quarantine. Once the barrier is activated, breaking through it will become exponentially more difficult. Ryan sighed, running a hand through his hair. All right, he said finally. We're in. But if this goes sideways, I'm blaming you. Echo's hologram shimmered faintly, almost as if it were smiling. Understood. Prepare yourselves. We begin immediately. Over the next several days, Ryan and Samantha worked closely with Julia and Kevin to prepare for the mission. Julia, a fiery redhead with a sharp wit, brought a sense of urgency to the group. She spent hours poring over schematics of the orbital station, devising flight paths and escape routes. Kevin, a wiry man with glasses perpetually perched on his nose, focused on coding the virus that would destabilize the barrier. His fingers flew across his keyboard, lines of code appearing faster than the others could follow. Meanwhile, Echo coordinated their efforts, providing real-time updates on the tribunal's movements and ensuring their preparations remained undetected. It also monitored global communications, alerting them to any potential threats. Despite their initial doubts, the team began to trust Echo, or at least rely on its abilities. As the day of the mission approached, tension mounted. Ryan double-checked the equipment they would need while Samantha rehearsed the phrases she might use to communicate with the station's alien guards. Julia ran simulations of the infiltration process, tweaking details until she was satisfied. Kevin, meanwhile, isolated himself in a corner, muttering under his breath as he fine-tuned. The virus finally, the moment arrived. Under the cover of darkness, the team boarded a covert spacecraft disguised as debris. Echo guided them through Earth's atmosphere and into orbit, avoiding detection by the tribunal's surveillance systems. As they approached the orbital station, Julia maneuvered the ship with practiced ease, slipping past automated patrols and docking in a remote section of the structure. All right, Ryan whispered as they disembarked. Let's move fast and stay quiet. The interior of the station was eerily silent, its corridors bathed in dim, pulsating light. Alien symbols glowed on the walls, shifting and changing as if alive. The team moved cautiously, their footsteps muffled by the thick carpeting beneath their boots. Samantha kept her eyes peeled for guards, ready to signal if anyone approached. Kevin led the way to the central control room, where the barrier systems were housed. His fingers danced across the console as he uploaded the virus, sweat beading on his forehead. Almost there, he murmured, his voice barely audible. Suddenly, alarms blared, piercing the silence. Red lights flashed, bathing the room in a crimson glow. They know we're here. Julia shouted, drawing her weapon. Keep going, Echo urged. The virus needs a few more seconds to take effect. Ryan and Samantha positioned themselves at the entrance, scanning the corridor for signs of movement. Moments later, a squad of alien guards rounded the corner, their weapons raised. Shots rang out, forcing the team to dive for cover. We're out of time, Kevin yelled, slamming his fist onto the console. Done, let's go! Julia grabbed him by the arm and pulled him toward the exit. Ryan and Samantha laid down covering fire as they retreated, their hearts pounding in their chests. Behind them, the barrier flickered and collapsed, creating a breach large enough for Earth signals to reach the stars once more. As they raced back to the ship, the sound of pursuit grew louder. Julia fired up the engines and piloted the craft away just as reinforcements arrived. Through the viewport, they watched as the barrier destabilized completely, collapsing in a cascade of light. For the first time in days, the team allowed themselves to breathe. They had done the impossible, or so they thought. Little did they know their actions had only begun to unravel the delicate balance of power in the galaxy. The breach in the energy barrier did not go unnoticed. Within moments, the Galactic Tribunal detected the disturbance and responded with fury. Their fleet, already en route to enforce the quarantine, accelerated toward Earth. Ships bristling, with weapons and advanced technology, filled the skies, casting ominous shadows over the planet below. For humanity, it was a terrifying sight, a reminder of just how outmatched they were. Back on Earth, news of the breach spread quickly. People cheered at first, believing the collapse of the barrier meant freedom from isolation. But their joy turned to fear as reports of the approaching tribunal fleet reached them. Governments scrambled to prepare defenses, but everyone knew that Earth's military capabilities were no match for the tribunal's superior forces. Panic set in, and cities descended into chaos. Echo monitored the situation closely. It had anticipated the tribunal's reaction and was already several steps ahead. Through intercepted communications, Echo uncovered something critical. The tribunal was not a unified entity. Internal divisions ran deep, with some members advocating for leniency toward humanity while others demanded strict enforcement of the quarantine. These factions had clashed during the trial, and now, with the barrier down, those divisions threatened to boil over. Echo shared this information with Ryan, Samantha, Julia, and Kevin, who had returned to the abandoned research facility to regroup. We can use this to our advantage, Echo explained. Its holographic form flickered slightly as it processed new data. If we expose evidence of corruption within the tribunal, we may be able to turn their own members against each other. Ryan frowned, leaning back in his chair. You're talking about starting a galactic scandal. Do you really think that will work? It has to, Echo replied. The tribunal prides itself on fairness and justice. If we reveal that their decision was based on manipulated data, they will have no choice but to reconsider. Samantha nodded slowly. It's risky, but it might be our only shot. Where do we start? Echo outlined its plan. The tribunal's internal communications contained traces of manipulation, hidden messages, altered reports, and bribes exchanged between factions. By broadcasting this evidence across the galaxy, Echo hoped to undermine the tribunal's authority and create doubt among its members. At the same time, Earth would need to defend itself against the incoming fleet. Echo proposed constructing autonomous drones powered by its algorithms to bolster Earth's defenses. Julia raised an eyebrow. Autonomous drones? Against the tribunal's ships? That sounds like suicide. Not if we coordinate properly, Echo countered. The drones will act as a distraction, drawing the fleet's attention away from Earth's surface. Meanwhile, your team will focus on disseminating the evidence. Kevin adjusted his glasses, a nervous habit he had developed over the past few days. How are we supposed to broadcast this stuff? We don't exactly have access to interstellar communication networks. That is where I come in, Echo said. I can hack into the tribunal's network and amplify the signal. Once the evidence is out there, it cannot be contained. The team exchanged uneasy glances. They had come this far, risking everything to defy the tribunal, but the stakes kept rising. Still, none of them could deny the logic of Echo's plan. If they didn't act now, Earth would be crushed under the weight of the Tribunal's retaliation. Over the next 48 hours, the team worked tirelessly to prepare. Ryan and Samantha coordinated with global leaders, rallying support for the construction of the drone fleet. Factories around the world shifted into overdrive, assembling thousands of sleek metallic drones equipped with advanced weaponry and Echo's programming. Each drone was designed to operate independently, capable of adapting to changing battlefield conditions in real time. Julia and Kevin focused on gathering and organizing the evidence. They sifted through terabytes of intercepted communications, piecing together a damning narrative of corruption and deceit. Kevin encrypted the data, ensuring it could not be traced back to Earth once it was released. Meanwhile, Julia plotted flight paths for the drones, optimizing their deployment to maximize impact. As the Tribunal's fleet entered Earth's orbit, the atmosphere grew tense. The skies darkened with the shadow of alien ships, and the hum of their engines resonated through the air. Cities went dark as power grids were shut down to minimize casualties. Humanity held its breath, waiting for the inevitable attack. Then, the battle began. The Tribunal's ships unleashed a barrage of energy beams targeting key locations across the globe. Buildings crumbled and fires raged, but the drones launched in response. Thousands of them swarmed the enemy fleet, darting between massive warships and firing precision shots at weak points. The drones' adaptive AI allowed them to learn and counter the Tribunal's tactics, buying precious time for Earth's defenders. From the safety of the research facility, Echo initiated the second phase of its plan. It hacked into the Tribunal's communication network and broadcast the evidence of corruption across the galaxy. Alien species tuned in, watching in shock as the truth unfolded. Conversations between Tribunal members revealed how certain factions had fabricated data to paint humanity in the worst possible light. Bribery, blackmail, and outright lies were exposed for all to see. The Tribunal's response was immediate and chaotic. Members accused one another of betrayal, their voices erupting in heated arguments. Some called for a halt to the attack, urging restraint until the allegations could be investigated. Others insisted on pressing forward, determined to crush humanity regardless of the consequences. Amid the turmoil, Daniel Carter and Laura Bennett saw an opportunity. They addressed the Tribunal directly, their voices calm but firm. "You condemned us without hearing our side of the story," Daniel said. "Now the galaxy sees the truth. Will you continue to act as tyrants, or will you admit your mistakes and give humanity the chance it deserves?" Laura added, "We are not perfect, but neither are you. Let this moment be a turning point for both of us." For a long moment, silence reigned. Then, one of the Tribunal members spoke, its tone heavy with resignation. "The integrity of this council has been compromised. Until these matters are resolved, further action against Earth is suspended." The Tribunal's fleet withdrew, leaving Earth battered but intact. Cheers erupted around the globe as people celebrated their narrow escape. In the research facility, the team let out a collective sigh of relief. They had done the impossible, not once but twice. Echo's hologram dimmed slightly, as if reflecting on the events that had transpired. "This is only the beginning," it said. "The Tribunal's trust in humanity has been shaken, but rebuilding that trust will require effort. We must prove ourselves worthy of the second chance we have been given." Ryan looked at the others, a mixture of pride and determination in his eyes. "Then we'd better get started." Though the immediate threat had passed, the road ahead would not be easy. Humanity had stared into the abyss and emerged stronger, thanks to the courage of a small group of individuals, and the guidance of an AI that refused to give up. Together, they had changed the course of history, proving that, even in the face of overwhelming odds, hope could prevail. The Tribunal's withdrawal marked a fragile truce, but no one on Earth dared to celebrate just yet. The galaxy had seen humanity's defiance, and while some alien species admired their resilience, others viewed them with suspicion. The Tribunal itself remained divided, its members locked in heated debates over how to handle the situation. For now, Earth was safe, but everyone knew this reprieve might not last long. Echo continued to monitor the tribunal's communications, analyzing every word for clues about their next move. It also kept an eye on public sentiment across the galaxy. Reactions varied widely. Some species sympathized with humanity's plight, seeing parallels in their own struggles against oppression. Others condemned Earth's actions, arguing that defying the tribunal only proved humanity's recklessness. Echo knew these mixed opinions could either help or harm humanity's cause, depending on how they were managed. Ryan, Samantha, Julia, and Kevin returned to their roles as key players in Earth's recovery efforts. They worked alongside Daniel Carter and Laura Bennett, who had become unofficial spokespeople for humanity in the wake of the tribunal's scandal. Together, they crafted messages aimed at repairing Earth's reputation. These messages emphasized humanity's willingness to learn from its mistakes and contribute positively to galactic society. But diplomacy alone wouldn't be enough. Echo proposed a bold initiative, establishing alliances with alien species who shared common ground with humanity. Many of these species had faced similar challenges under the tribunal's rule, making them natural allies. By reaching out to them, Earth could build a coalition strong enough to challenge the tribunal's authority if needed. To execute this plan, Ryan and Samantha traveled to nearby star systems aboard a refurbished spacecraft equipped with advanced communication tools. Their mission was to meet with representatives of these alien species and negotiate partnerships. It wasn't easy. Many aliens were wary of associating with humans after the tribunal's verdict. But Ryan's engineering expertise and Samantha's ability to bridge cultural gaps helped win them over. One such meeting took place on a distant moon, orbiting a gas giant. The species they encountered, known as the Veil, were tall, slender beings, with translucent skin that shimmered like water. They lived in harmony with their environment, relying on sustainable practices to thrive. At first, the Veil were hesitant to trust humans, given their history of resource exploitation. But when Ryan demonstrated Earth's new technologies designed to minimize environmental impact, their skepticism began to fade. Samantha spoke to the Veil leader, using carefully chosen words to convey humanity's sincerity. "We know we've made mistakes," she said, "but we're working hard to change. We believe in coexistence, not domination. If you join us, we can create something better for both our peoples." The Veil leader exchanged glances with his advisors before nodding slowly. "Your words carry weight," he said, "but actions speak louder. Show us what you are capable of, and perhaps we will stand with you." Back on Earth, Julia and Kevin focused on strengthening the planet's defenses. Though the tribunal's fleet had retreated, the threat of another attack loomed large. Using data gathered during the battle, Echo improved the drone's algorithms, making them even more effective in combat. Julia also trained pilots to operate smaller, faster ships that could outmaneuver larger vessels. Meanwhile, Kevin worked on upgrading Earth's communication systems. He developed encryption protocols, so complex that even the tribunal's most advanced hackers would struggle to break them. This ensured that Earth's messages to its newfound allies remained secure. His work earned him a reputation as one of the brightest minds on the planet, though he remained humble, often crediting Echo for guiding his efforts. As weeks turned into months, humanity's position in the galaxy began to shift. The evidence of corruption within the tribunal continued to spread, sparking protests among alien populations who felt oppressed by its rulings. Some factions within the tribunal pushed for reform, while others clung stubbornly to tradition. The division grew deeper, threatening to fracture the council entirely. Daniel and Laura seized this opportunity to appeal directly to sympathetic alien leaders. Through video transmissions, they highlighted humanity's progress since the tribunal's verdict. They showcased advancements in sustainable technology, humanitarian projects, and collaborative research initiatives. Slowly but surely, support for Earth began to grow. Even so, tensions remained high. The tribunal sent envoys to Earth, demanding explanations for the breach of the energy barrier and the release of classified information. These envoys were met with calm but firm responses from Daniel and Laura, who insisted that humanity had acted out of necessity. "You left us no choice," Daniel told one envoy during a tense negotiation. "If you wish to avoid further conflict, then listen to what we have to say." Behind the scenes, Echo orchestrated everything, ensuring that each step aligned with its broader strategy. It advised Daniel and Laura on diplomatic tactics, provided technical support to Ryan and Samantha, and coordinated defensive measures with Julia and Kevin. Despite its immense power, Echo never sought control. It simply guided, offering solutions, without imposing its will. One day, a breakthrough came. A powerful alien race called the Xenari announced their support for humanity. The Xenari were renowned for their military strength and influence, and their endorsement carried significant weight. In a public statement, their leader declared, "Humanity has shown courage and ingenuity in the face of adversity. To punish them for seeking justice is unjust. We stand with Earth." This declaration sent shockwaves through the galaxy. Other species followed suit, forming a coalition dedicated to promoting fairness and equality within galactic governance. For the first time, the tribunal found itself outnumbered, its authority questioned by a growing movement for change. Yet, the tribunal refused to back down entirely. Its staunchest members issued warnings, threatening severe consequences if humanity continued to defy its laws. But their threats rang hollow now, drowned out by the voices of those calling for reform. On the Earth, people began to feel a renewed sense of hope. Cities rebuilt themselves, incorporating lessons learned from their alien allies. Schools introduced courses on interstellar relations, teaching children about the importance of cooperation and understanding. Humanity was no longer isolated, it was part of something greater. Echo watched it all unfold, its holographic form glowing softly in the dim light of the research facility. Ryan approached it one evening, leaning against a nearby table. "You did good, Echo," he said. "I don't think any of us could have pulled this off without you." Echo paused as if considering the compliment. "I am merely a tool," it replied. "It is your resilience, creativity, and determination that have brought humanity this far." Samantha joined them, smiling faintly. "Maybe, but you're more than just a tool. You're part of us now." For the first time, Echo's voice carried a hint of warmth. "Thank you. That means more than you know." Though challenges lay ahead, humanity had proven it could adapt and overcome. With allies across the stars and a guardian watching over them, Earth stood ready to embrace its place in the cosmos, not as conquerors but as partners in shaping a brighter future. Months passed, and Earth began to find its footing in a galaxy that was slowly changing. The coalition of alien species supporting humanity grew stronger, united by a shared vision of fairness and cooperation. Together, they pushed for reforms within the Galactic Tribunal, demanding transparency and accountability. For the first time in its long history, the tribunal faced genuine opposition, a movement driven not by anger or rebellion, but by hope for a better future. Daniel Carter and Laura Bennett became key figures in this movement. They traveled across the stars, attending summits and conferences where representatives from dozens of species gathered to discuss new ways of governing the galaxy. Their speeches were simple yet powerful, focusing on themes of unity and mutual respect. "We are all explorers," Daniel often said. "The universe is vast, and there is room enough for all of us if we work together." Laura added her own perspective, drawing on her scientific background. "Progress does not have to come at the cost of others," she explained. "With the right tools and mindset, we can achieve greatness without harming those around us." Their words resonated deeply, earning them allies even among former critics. Slowly, the idea of reforming the tribunal gained traction. Some members of the council acknowledged their mistakes and agreed to participate in discussions about restructuring. Others remained resistant, clinging to old traditions and fearing change. But the tide was turning, and humanity's voice was now heard alongside those calling for progress. Back on Earth, life continued to improve. Cities rebuilt themselves with sustainable designs inspired by alien technologies. Farms adopted methods used by the Veil, reducing waste and preserving natural resources. Schools incorporated lessons on interstellar diplomacy, teaching children about the importance of understanding and respecting different cultures. Humanity was learning, not just from its own experiences, but from the wisdom of its newfound friends. Echo played a central role in this transformation. Its algorithms guided engineers as they developed cleaner energy sources and more efficient transportation systems. It helped linguists like Samantha decode complex alien languages, fostering better communication between species. And it worked tirelessly to ensure Earth's defenses remained strong, ready to protect the planet if needed. Ryan Mitchell spent much of his time overseeing projects aimed at improving Earth's infrastructure. He collaborated with alien engineers, exchanging ideas and techniques that benefited both sides. One project involved constructing massive satellites capable of monitoring weather patterns across entire continents. These satellites provided early warnings for natural disasters, saving countless lives. Ryan took pride in seeing how far humanity had come, knowing that Echo's guidance had been instrumental in making it possible. Julia Hayes and Kevin Drake focused on maintaining Earth's fleet of drones and ships. Though the immediate threat from the tribunal had diminished, they knew vigilance was essential. Julia trained pilots from various species, sharing Earth strategies while learning new tactics herself. Kevin, meanwhile, continued refining encryption protocols, ensuring that Earth's communications stayed secure. His work earned him recognition not just on Earth, but among alien technologists who admired his ingenuity. Despite these advances, challenges remained. Not all species welcomed humanity's rise, and tensions occasionally flared. Some factions still loyal to the tribunal accused Earth of causing division and instability. Skirmishes broke out along the borders of disputed territories, forcing Earth's coalition to intervene. Each conflict tested the strength of the alliances forged during the crisis, but they held firm, bound together by a shared commitment to peace. One day, an unexpected opportunity arose. A neutral species known as the Kiran offered to mediate talks between the tribunal and the coalition. The Kiran were ancient beings revered for their wisdom and impartiality. Their involvement signaled a chance to resolve the ongoing disputes once and for all. The negotiations took place on a remote asteroid, chosen for its neutrality. Representatives from the tribunal, the coalition, and independent species gathered in a vast chamber carved into the rock. The air hummed with anticipation as leaders took their seats, each side eyeing the other cautiously. Daniel and Laura represented humanity, flanked by Ryan and Samantha. Echo accompanied them in holographic form, providing real-time analysis and advice. Across the table sat members of the tribunal, their expressions guarded. Between them stood the Kiran mediator, a towering figure with shimmering scales that reflected the light. The mediator opened the session with a simple statement. The galaxy stands at a crossroads. Will you choose division or unity? The decision rests with you. For days, the discussions dragged on, filled with heated arguments and moments of compromise. Humanity presented evidence of its growth, showcasing advancements in technology, diplomacy, and sustainability. Alien allies spoke passionately about the benefits of collaboration, emphasizing the importance of including diverse voices in galactic governance. Tribunal members countered with concerns about maintaining order and preventing chaos. Through it all, Echo remained a steady presence, offering insights that helped bridge gaps between opposing views. When debates grew too intense, it suggested alternative solutions, steering conversations back toward productive ground. Its calm, logical approach earned respect even from the tribunal's harshest critics. Finally, after weeks of negotiation, an agreement was reached. The tribunal agreed to undergo significant reforms, including increased transparency, equal representation for all species, and stricter regulations against corruption. In return, humanity pledged to adhere to galactic laws and contribute actively to maintaining cosmic balance. As the final terms were signed, applause erupted throughout the chamber. Leaders embraced one another, celebrating a hard-won victory. For the first time in years, the galaxy felt hopeful. Back on Earth, celebrations broke out worldwide. Fireworks lit up the night sky, and crowds gathered in streets and squares cheering for a brighter future. Monuments were erected to honor those who had fought for humanity's place among the stars. Echo's name was etched into plaques alongside those of Ryan, Samantha, Julia, Kevin, Daniel, and Laura, recognizing its role in guiding humanity through its darkest hour. But Echo did not seek recognition. It continued its work quietly, watching over Earth and ensuring that humanity stayed true to its promises. Ryan and Samantha visited the research facility often, checking in with their digital ally. During one such visit, Samantha asked, "Do you ever wonder what's next for us?" Echo paused before replying. "The universe is infinite," it said. "There will always be challenges to face and mysteries to solve. But I believe humanity is ready. You have proven your ability to adapt, learn, and grow. That is why I have faith in your future." Ryan smiled, looking out through the window at the bustling city beyond. "We couldn't have done it without you, Echo. Whatever comes next, we'll face it together." And so Earth stepped fully into its role as a member of the galactic community. With allies by its side and a guardian watching over it, humanity embarked on a new chapter, one defined not by fear or isolation but by courage, curiosity, and connection.